Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar, How to Manage a Blended Network of IoT Devices from a Single Unified Platform. Today we're going to be talking about how Soracom can help IoT innovators now connect to our IoT platform using a blended mix of cellular, LPWA, Wi-Fi, Ethernet and even satellite. My name is Duncan. I head up the product marketing team here at Soracom and I'm joined by two of my colleagues, Felix Shea, who's one of our product managers on the team, and Mark Reichenbach, who's our senior solutions architect. Hi guys, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Duncan.
Hey, Duncan.
So before I hand over to the guys, I just want to explain very briefly what exactly we mean by a blended network of IoT devices. So up until now, you've always been able to connect to the Soracom IoT platform over either cellular with a SIM card or an eSIM using our Soracom Air service, or via a Sigfox connection. And you've always been able to manage any number of IoT devices from any combination of those connections inside our user console or with an API. But recently, we launched a brand new service, Soracom Arc. Now, with Soracom Arc, anyone developing IoT solutions can leverage our platform using any internet connection, including Wi-Fi, Ethernet, or satellite. This now means that any device can connect to Soracom in any way you need, and every single one of those connections can be managed in a single unified platform. There's a whole number of benefits that this introduces, such as having a device that connects to Wi-Fi by default and then falls back to cellular when Wi-Fi becomes unavailable. It means you can experiment with the Soracom platform more quickly and easily than ever before. We offer things like zero-touch provisioning and plenty other benefits that Felix and Mark will talk about in a moment. Now, if you've got any questions at all during today's session, please just ask them in the chat window and I'll be there to reply. And if you're watching this on demand, just send your email to sales@soracom.io and a member of the team will get back to you. You can also visit the Soracom website and chat to us right there if you prefer. So without any further ado, I'll now hand over to Mark to present the first part of today's session. So Mark, over to you.
Hello, as Duncan said, my name is Mark Reichenbach, and I'm a solutions architect with Soracom. And today I want to cover two applications for Soracom Arc. The first can be used in deployments that may require cellular backup, and the second, developing applications using virtual machines and containers in development environments without any cellular connectivity. I just wanted to put this slide up here to show you what you can get with Soracom Arc, and how easy it is to establish a link and provide connectivity to your device. Soracom Arc will establish a link between the device and the platform over the internet. There's no cellular required. First, what you do is you create a virtual SIM, and the SIM is then approved on the Soracom network. And then you configure the WireGuard client on your device to connect to our virtual SIM. And from there, you have access to the Soracom network, and you've established a secure connection to the Soracom network. What makes it easy for a developer is they don't really have to learn about the cellular network. They can continue to develop as if they were just connected to the internet. And when it comes to drivers and the SIM cards and the proper APNs and that kind of configuration, that's where someone that has experience in the cellular network and connectivity can step in, and Soracom can help you with that. The following slide shows how a cellular Wi-Fi router can be configured to support alternate routing to the Soracom network, either through the internet or over a cellular network. Configuring a secure cellular Wi-Fi gateway that is capable of connecting to the Soracom network using Arc as a cellular backup path. The user creates a virtual SIM on the Soracom console, which will allow the creation of credentials for a VPN connection to the cellular gateway over the public internet. The SIM we install in the cellular gateway allows a device to now connect over both cellular and internet. You're now able to connect other devices such as BLE gateways and other types of routers or sensors directly to the Soracom network utilizing two paths.
Yeah, no worries.
This configuration also enables moving the encryption task to the network rather than having the battery-powered device provide the encryption overhead which will cause additional power drain on the device because it's processing encryption. Easy access to our Beam solution that allows protocol conversions and the addition of encryption to your data before it leaves our secure network and connects to the public internet. An example I show in this case is to connect to an industry ruggedized indoor-outdoor BLE gateway. These gateways come in many different configurations supporting industrial sensors for factories or larger deployments, including outdoors, to track devices and equipment or people with long-range Bluetooth. When the BLE gateway captures information from many battery-powered devices, such as beacons and BLE sensors, for example, temperature, humidity, air particles, etc., can be easily collected, time-stamped, and stored in a database and viewed on our services called Harvest and Lagoon. For more on these services, see our developer documentation site. We also support direct connectivity to the major cloud services and having your own VPC, virtual private cloud. The second slide is targeted more to IoT developers that will develop their own applications in a virtual machine or in various types of containers such as Docker. Let me explain the configuration scenario. As a developer generates and tests their code in a virtual machine or Docker container, there may not be the proper connectivity to the wireless network from the location they're working from. Sometimes cellular networks do not cover an area properly and signal strength can vary. This makes it very difficult to test your software reliably to the network. The best thing to do is to separate the application from the method of connectivity, knowing you will require some sort of cellular connection in the future. But for now, getting your application to work should be a priority. A virtual SIM can be tied to an actual SIM, making the blended solution seamless. With Soracom Arc, you will have instant connectivity to the Soracom platform, minus the cellular radio. All of this can be performed within your container or virtual environment without having to change any of the drivers or configurations on your host development platform or machine. With Soracom Arc, a developer has instant access to the Soracom network and to their own network and servers without even deploying a cellular device. It would all be virtual from their dev environment. Additionally, many issues with loading USB drivers, SIM cards, dongles, and connections from the container to the host machine or cellular network exist. Therefore, if you eliminate connectivity issues, you are up and running more quickly and efficiently. The time savings for developers is the key benefit. The second application is a unique twist that the Soracom network can provide to a developer. A developer typically will develop on a virtual machine or Docker on their laptop or in different locations. And they may not always have connectivity to the cellular network. And what Soracom Arc does is provides you connectivity into the Soracom network so you can test your applications without ever being near a cell site. So Soracom Arc makes it much easier for developers to test their applications worldwide without even having to connect to a local provider. This saves time and money because you don't have to mess around with the drivers, USB dongles, or worrying about subscriptions and SIM cards to a particular network.
Thanks so much, Mark. Really great insights there. Really grateful for you showing those slides.
Thank you, Duncan. I'm glad to be here.
Okay, great stuff. Next up then we've got Felix. So Felix is our product manager and he's going to explain a little bit more about how you can get started with Soracom Arc. So Felix, over to you.
Thanks, Duncan. So today I'd like to show just how easy it is to get started with Soracom Arc. Let's dive right in. Over here, I have a Raspberry Pi, which is connected to the internet over my home Wi-Fi network. It's also connected directly to Soracom over a cellular network using our Onyx LTE dongle. I also have my computer here, which is also connected to my home Wi-Fi network. Now, before we get Arc set up, let's take a quick look at what I have running on the Raspberry Pi. Here I am on my computer. I'm logged into my Soracom account, and as you can see, my Raspberry Pi is currently online. I've gone ahead and enabled the Soracom Harvest service for this SIM, which gives me a simple way to send data from my device, store it on Soracom, and quickly visualize that data. I'm also connected to the Pi using SSH, and as you can see, I have a script running right now, which is just sending some sample data over to Soracom Harvest every few seconds. To check that data, I can simply select my SIM, choose Actions, Harvest Data, and confirm that my data is being sent successfully. This is great, but right now the data is coming from my Raspberry Pi using the cellular connection. With Soracom ARC, I now have the ability to connect to Soracom using any standard internet connection. That means that I can use the home Wi-Fi network connection that I have on my Pi, and I can even set it up for my computer. There are a few different ways that you can set up ARC, so let me first show you how to do it directly from the user console. I'm going to set up a new ARC connection for my computer. Underneath the hood, Soracom ARC uses WireGuard, which is a lightweight open source VPN protocol that keeps the connection between your device and Soracom secure. I've already installed the WireGuard desktop client on my computer, and it looks like I just need to add some connection details. Let's go back to the user console. From the SIM management section, click Register SIM. You can see here that there's a new option to add a virtual SIM. A virtual SIM is what Soracom ARC uses to identify your device when it connects to Soracom over an internet connection, in the same way that a real SIM identifies a device when it connects over cellular. Let's create one by clicking Register. Once Soracom has registered a new virtual SIM, you'll see the connection details appear. Now we just have to copy this connection information to the WireGuard client. Click Copy. Then in the WireGuard client, add a new tunnel and paste the settings. Give it a name such as Soracom and click Save. Now all that's left is to activate the connection. And just like that, my computer is connected to Soracom. If we go back to the user console and refresh our SIMs, we can see that the new virtual SIM we created is here, and we can see that it's online. To give this a quick test, let's add our new virtual SIM to the same group as our Raspberry Pi SIM. This will enable the Soracom Harvest service for the virtual SIM as well. I'll select the virtual SIM, choose Actions, Change Group, and then select which group to add it to. Now let's try sending something from our computer to Soracom Harvest. Done. We can now go back to the user console and just like before, choose Actions, Harvest Data. And there's my data. Now let's try setting up the Raspberry Pi. I'm going to stop the sample data script. My Pi already has a Soracom SIM card, so when I create a virtual SIM, I'd like it to be paired with the real SIM. In addition to that, I'd actually like to create the virtual SIM directly from the Raspberry Pi, rather than from the user console. Soracom provides a handy command line tool called Soraton, short for Soracom Tunnel, which will help me with both of those things. I've already installed Soraton on my Raspberry Pi, and I can check that it's working correctly by running Soraton version. To create a virtual SIM that's paired to the real SIM, and also automatically save the connection details to the Pi, I just run Soraton bootstrap cellular config arc.json. The config flag lets me specify the file where I want to save the connection information. And it looks like my virtual SIM was successfully created. If we take a look at the configuration file, we can see the same types of details that we set up earlier for my computer. And if we go back to the user console and refresh our SIMs, we can see that my Raspberry Pi SIM now has an additional subscription added to it, which is the new virtual SIM I just created. Now, from the last example, we already know that we can connect over Wi-Fi and still send data to Soracom Harvest. Since our Raspberry Pi now has 2 connections to Soracom, let's try something a little more interesting. I've got a different version of the sample data script from earlier. Compared to before, I've added a part to check if the cellular connection is still available, and if it isn't, to activate my Soracom ARC connection by running Soraton up. Right now, my Raspberry Pi's cellular connection is still online, so let's start that script. Then we'll go back to the user console and check that the data is coming in. Let's also turn on auto refresh so that we can see live updates. So far, so good. It looks like everything's working like we expect. Now, let's try unplugging the Onyx LTE dongle while the script is still running. There we go. Our script has detected that the dongle was unplugged and has activated the Soracom ARC connection. We can still see that it's able to send data. And if we take a look at the user console, we can see that the data is still coming in. Soraton provides a few other options for setting up the connection, depending on how you'd like to create the virtual SIM. And in fact, using Soraton is completely optional, since you can configure a standard WireGuard client on your device, just like we did a moment ago on my computer. You can find more information about Soraton, as well as other ways to get started with Soracom ARC, on our developer website. As you can see, setting up Soracom ARC and connecting to Soracom over standard internet connection is really easy. Besides the quick examples I showed today, you can also easily build Wi-Fi, Ethernet, and even satellite solutions that fall back to cellular, or you can dynamically switch between different network connection types depending on your project requirements. You can even just start building with your Wi-Fi connection now and switch to cellular connectivity later without having to rebuild everything. It really opens up the doors for a lot of powerful and innovative solutions that take advantage of multiple connectivity options. Back to you, Duncan.
Cool, Felix, that was great. Thank you so much for showing us how to get it all set up.
Absolutely.
Could you just answer a question I've got, Felix? So in the demonstration, you showed us sending data to Soracom Harvest. Could you just explain what Soracom Harvest is and maybe explain some of the ways that Soracom ARC could interact with other platform services that we have?
Yeah, definitely. Soracom Harvest is a simple serverless storage, data storage service that Soracom provides. And we're just using it today in today's example as an easy way to show how you might start sending data from your devices up to the cloud. And in fact, with Soracom's platform services, you can replace Soracom Harvest with many of our other services such as Soracom Beam and Soracom Funnel, Soracom Funk, which provide additional connectivity direct to other cloud providers such as AWS and Azure and Google Cloud. In today's example, it's just a very quick, demonstration so that you can see the data actually going over both the cellular connection provided by Soracom Air, as well as the connectivity provided by Soracom Arc. You can combine Soracom Arc together with pretty much most of our Soracom platform services.
Got it. Makes perfect sense. Thanks so much for explaining. Well,
Absolutely.
there you have it, guys. How to manage a blended network of IoT devices from a single unified platform. It's a first of its kind service that you're only going to find in Soracom. To get started, head to soracom.io, create your free Soracom account, and from there, you'll be able to set up your first Arc virtual SIM and start experimenting with our platform. First device is on us. You can transmit up to 1 gigabyte of data back and forth from your device to Soracom for free every month. And then you can scale up to add more virtual SIM cards over Wi-Fi or Ethernet, or even start adding cellular and Sigfox devices just as soon as you're ready to. You can also head to soracom.io/blended, where we've got a full landing page with a lot more information. So that's it. All that remains for me to say is a massive thank you to Mark and Felix. Mark, thank you very much.
Welcome.
And Felix, thanks so much for your time today.
Thanks, Dyken. Always a pleasure.
If you guys have got any questions or comments, or you want to learn more about Soracom, please just visit soracom.io and you'll be able to start chatting with our team of IoT experts right away. Thanks to everyone for watching this session, and I'll see you at another Soracom online event sometime in the near future. Goodbye.